Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we'll begin by chanting the invocation mantra and then the first 3 mantras of the Isopanisad. You can repeat after me. Om Purnamada Purnamidam
Om Purnamadam Purnamidam
Purnat Purnamudachyate
Purnat Purnamudachyate
Purnasya Purnamadaya
Purnasya Purnamadaya
Purnameva Vashishyate
Purnameva Vashishyate
Isavasyamidam Sarvam
Ishavashyamidam Sarvam
Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat
Yatkinyam Jagatam Jagat
Tena Chaktena Bunjita
Tena Tyaktena Bhunjita
Magrida Kashasvadanam
Magradha Kasya Svedhanam
Kurvane Vaha Karmani
Purneva Karmani
Jijivichakchatam Sama Evam Tvai Nanatetosti
Evam Manyate
Nakarma Lepyate Nare Asurya Namate Loka Andina Tamasarvita
Andena Tamasa
Tamste Pretyapikachanti
Tamse Pretyabhigachanti
Ekachat Mahanojana So, in the last class, we spoke about how if we follow the process given by the Lord, we can have a long life, right? Mentioned, we may live for hundreds of years, the verse says. But we have to work according to the Lord's plan. And that was known as the Ishyavashya system, Ishyavashya method, with God in the center. So this is the subject matter of the first 3 mantras of the Isopanisad. It's dealing with the question of proprietorship. We want to understand who is the proprietor clearly. And when we work in that way, then we get very good results. But of course, it's not an easy thing for us to purify our consciousness, to correct our consciousness, and to recognize Krishna as the proprietor. That's really difficult because we all have the tendency. Well, we're conditioned souls, right? We're conditioned. Who would like to tell us what does it mean to be a conditioned soul? Anybody can say? When I say we're conditioned souls, what does
Hare
it
Krishna,
mean?
Hare Krishna,
Yes.
Krishna.
Maharaj.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, can
Chandrapana
you tell?
Maharaj, we are affected and run by the 3 modes of nature, and so we remain the Baddha Jiva.
Okay, so we're controlled by the 3 modes of nature.
3 modes of nature.
Yes, good. And how does the three modes of nature, how do they influence us? What is the consciousness of somebody working under the three modes of nature?
We have four defects, and because of the four defects, we always never can stay in sattva guna. So we fall into rajas and in tamas guna also, and so it is very difficult to stay in sattva guna.
Okay, yes. The four defects. Would you tell us, please, the four defects?
Our senses are limited. We commit mistakes. Sorry, Maharaj.
Cheating propensity.
Cheating
Yeah,
propensity.
Illusion.
Subject to illusion. We have the propensity to cheat, or we're being cheated. We have imperfect senses, and we make mistakes. Right, so four defects. These are there in the conditioned soul, not in the liberated souls, but the conditioned souls, because we're under the modes of nature, because we're under the influence of the material energy, we make these kind of mistakes, right? What did we say was the illusion? What's the big illusion of people, conditioned souls in the material world?
Thinking we are the body, not the soul mind.
I am in this body.
Yes, yes, right. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, we're thinking we're the body. This is a problem, right? We're thinking, I am this body. And then when we think I am the body, then what's the next thing? What do we think after that? What comes next? First we think I am the body, and then we think?
We are the masters, controllers.
Enjoyer.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
We are the enjoyer.
Right, we're thinking, I am the proprietor, right? This is mine. We say aham and mamiti. Aham, I, and mamiti, this is mine. This belongs to me. This is the conditioning of the material energy. We think of this world as being for our enjoyment, right? Bhagavad Gita described the energy of the Lord and how we are struggling with the five senses and the mind. Mamivam sa jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana, manashastani indriyani, prakriti stani karshati. Right? Prakriti stani karshati. We're struggling with the prakriti, with the material nature. And why are we struggling with the material nature? Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 7, Apariyamitastvanyam prakritim vidime param jiva bhuta mahabaho yedam daryate jagat. Yedam daryate jagat. Because we're trying to control, we're trying to lord over the prakriti. We're thinking it's all mine and it's here for me to enjoy, right? So when we remember that we're not the proprietor, that we're simply the servant and the Lord is the actual proprietor, then it has a very good effect on us. The whole situation of the world can change. And we were hearing in the last class how you can be a communist, or you can be a philanthropist, or a humanitarian worker, social worker, and you can do it all in Krishna consciousness. There's no harm. Everything can be done in Krishna consciousness. So this is the meaning of the Ishyavasya society. Krishna consciousness is meant for this. Actually, our Krishna consciousness movement is meant to promote an Ishavasya spirit, that the devotees of the Lord will live together with God in the center, recognizing everyone, working together cooperatively. And when we have that spirit, then we can live a long life without trouble. However, not everybody is able to do that. So we're going to go on now to mantra 3, right? We will, let's go through it here. Where are we? Maybe we can have somebody read. Prasanna Chitta Gopinath Prabhu, is he here today? Could you read the translation, please? Have we got the screen sharing for everybody?
Maharaj, Prasanna Chitta Prabhu is not here, Maharaj, today.
Oh,
He is not.
Okay. So what about Pramananya Gopesh?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
The
Would you like
killer of the translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into the planets known as the worlds of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance.
So we're going to hear an interesting phenomena, the killer of the soul. Now this sounds contradictory to what we have heard from the Bhagavad Gita, right? When we studied the Bhagavad Gita, we heard Najayate Mriyate Vakadachin, right? For the soul, meaning, what's the meaning?
The soul cannot be killed.
Eternal.
Eternal, it is it.
Right. For the soul, there's no birth and there's no death. But here, the Isopanisad speaks about the killer of the soul. So we have to understand what is the meaning behind this. Because somebody kills the soul, then it says his destiny is not good. Whoever he may be must enter into the planets known as the worlds of the faithless. So at least he's still got some existence. Although the soul is killed, but he's just put into some unpleasant situation, some planets which are full of darkness, ignorance, and described as the worlds of the faithless. So it doesn't sound very pleasant, right? Devotees certainly wouldn't be attracted to go there, but devotees are not killers of the soul. There's another class of people who are killers of the soul. We're going to hear about them. Prabhu, you can continue reading paragraph here.
Yes, Maharaj. Prabhu, can you scroll down? Arunaksh Prabhu. Yes. The human life is distinguished from animal life due to its heavy responsibilities. Those who are cognizant of these responsibilities and who work in that spirit are called suras, godly persons. And those who are neglectful of these responsibilities or who have no information of them are called asuras, demons. Throughout the universe, there are only these two types of human beings. In the Rig Veda, it is stated that the suras always aim at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Vishnu and act accordingly. Their ways as illuminated as the path of the sun.
All right, thank you, Prabhu. Maybe you could tell us something, what is meant here. It said, the human life is distinguished from animal life due to its heavy responsibilities.
Yes.
Could you explain to us what is the meaning here of this heavy responsibility of the human life?
Yeah, then because we are the person who can atato brahma jigyasa. We can inquire who are we and what is our purpose in this material world, and as a result, we can think and we have extra responsibilities to take care of all other living beings.
Okay, we have a response. That's interesting. Yeah, that not only do we have responsibility towards our own self in terms of our destiny and how we make how we live in this world, but we have a duty also to maintain other forms of life, other living entities. Right? What about animal life? What happens in animal life then?
Animal life, they have the limited consciousness, like whatever they can only defend themselves, and they have limited consciousness through which only they can follow this eating, mating, sleeping, and defending, whereas human beings can think beyond that.
Yes, we hope.
The Ishavasya, which animals cannot think about it, it can be thought about only by the humans.
Right. Animal life is simply based on the animal thinking, where is food? Right? They wake up and they go and where's the food? The birds and the insects and the dogs, and they only know about these things, eating and sleeping and mating and defending. They don't have any other, they're not developed in consciousness like the human life. The human life, they can make arrangements to produce food. We see around the world how the human beings that they are able to cultivate the land and produce crops. You don't see animals doing that. Animals are not productive in that sense. They can eat and they can sleep, they can mate, but they can do it. They don't take any. You don't see them doing things like organizing themselves to produce food. So this is the point, the duty of human life. So Prabhupada makes the point that there are two kinds of souls. You have the Sura and the Asuras. In the Bhagavad Gita, that's also mentioned. In the chapter 16, you have the divine and the demoniac nature, right? There's the divine nature and the Sura and the Asuras. What makes the difference between the Suras and the Asuras? Would someone like to tell us how some difference there between the two?
Maharaj, Suras are the devotees of Lord Vishnu and Asuras are against the Lord.
Okay. So the Asuras they oppose the authority of the Lord. And what about their attitude towards scriptures? How do the demons view scriptures?
They act against the scriptures, Maharaj.
Yes, they're also not, they don't like to follow the scriptural authority. They have their own ambitions and their own plans. They're always opposing. Sometimes there's challenges between the devas and the demons, the demigods and the demons. They fight each other. And sometimes Lord Vishnu has to come and help the devas to establish their authority over the demigods. Okay, so that's it. There's that kind of mood there. And within the universe that's there, and even among human beings, among human beings on this planet, we see there are two types of humans. That some humans are godly, they're very pious and respectful, and they work in that mode, and there's others who are very much against that. They're very impious and at the same time, they're very materialistic. And we see, for example, how the demons like Ravan, he had a wonderful kingdom, very opulent, very powerful. So demons also, you know, they're very successful materially. But their success is always temporary, doesn't last for long. And ultimately, they're destroyed because they're opposing the Supreme Lord. So throughout the universe, there's only these two types of human beings. We'll go ahead. Someone, let me see who's next to read. Now we have Dina Pavna. Dina Pavna is there. Yes, Prabhu.
Din Pawan Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Ujita Mataji, Din Pawan Prabhu.
Okay, if he's not able to be heard.
I'm clear, Maharaj.
Can we hear you?
Prabhu, can you hear me?
You're a bit mute, Prabhu, but we can hear you. You're very mute.
Yeah, can you hear me, Prabhu? Balram Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
I have to read further.
Yeah,
Yes,
Prabhu.
please.
There is a swine, dogs, camels, asses, etc., whose economic necessities are just as important to them as our.
We missed a paragraph.
I think you missed something. Yeah.
Intelligent human being paragraph.
Yes, intelligent human being.
Sorry. Intelligent human beings must always remember that soul obtains a human form after the evolution of many millions of years in the cycle of transmigration. The material world is sometimes compared to an ocean, and the human body is compared to a solid board designed specially to cross this ocean. The Vedic scriptures and the acharyas or saintly teachers are compared as expert boatmen, and the facilities of the human body are compared to the favorable breeze that helps the boat ply smoothly to its desired destination. If with all these facilities a human being does not fully utilize his life of self-realization, he must be considered Atmaha, a killer of soul. Sri Isopanisad warns in clear terms that the killer of soul is destined to enter the darkest region of ignorance to suffer perpetually.
All right, thank you, Prabhu. Yes. So Srila Prabhupada is giving the very important example here. How does he compare the human body?
Human body is considered as a solid boat.
Right, it's like a boat. So you have a boat. Is that enough to cross the ocean? If somebody comes with a boat and gives you a nice boat, are you just going to go on the boat and try
No,
to cross?
actually, we need a boatsman who can help us to cross over this ocean.
Right, and who is the boatman?
Our guru and our Siksha gurus all are boatsmen. The devotees are the boatsmen who can help us to swim through this ocean.
And Prabhupada also mentions the Vedic scriptures as well.
Yeah, they are the breeze that can help us to take over through.
Right. No, he says the Vedic scriptures and the acharyas or saintly teachers are all compared to expert boatmen. And then he says the facilities of the human body are the breeze, right?
Yeah.
So what are these facilities?
Our intelligence.
Yes, somebody?
So, Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, is it the gift of the Lord about the inquisitiveness, about the self-realization. This is one of the facility.
Yes,
And,
I think. Yes, good.
and-
And what? Some more?
yes, and the mind and the senses, which we are given, which can be utilized in the service of the Lord, which can
Okay.
also help us in self-realization or make our life successful.
Okay. Yes, I think so.
And also ability to read the scriptures,
Yes, right.
understand the scriptures.
Hmm.
So these are the facilities which actually help us in self-realization, and we can reach our destination.
Okay, very good. Yes.
Yes.
So Prabhupada said, with all these facilities, if we don't utilize his life for self-realization, if we don't take up So if we don't take advantage of the human life, then we are Atmaha, killer of the soul. It's a great waste. We've been given the valuable human life and we don't use it properly. So it's very bad. In Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada talks about, in one purport, in the second chapter there, where Arjuna is describing his situation, that he says, Karpanya dosho pahata swabhava, that because of miserly weakness, I'm confused about my duty. So Prabhupada discusses there is a Brahmana, and there is, on the other hand, who's the opposite of the Brahmana? What's the word used?
Misers.
Yes,
Kripana.
what? Kripana, right, Kripana, right. Brahmana and Kripana. The Kripana is the miserly person. Brahmana, this, he will take advantage of whatever he's got to use it. He's generous and he will use everything properly for the Lord. But the Kripana, even he has money, he just likes to smell it. He doesn't use it. So that's not good. You like to count it, you don't spend it. So that's the Kripana. So this is like Atmaha, killer of the soul. He's not made proper use of the soul. He's got a human life and the soul is there in the body and you're not recognizing the need of the soul. So this is very bad situation, very dangerous situation. Dangerous because, as Isopanisad says, is going to enter into the darkest region of ignorance, to suffer perpetually. That's also mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, that they enter into the lower species of life and suffer birth after birth. Why? Because that's what they want. They don't want anything more. They just want that. So Krishna fulfills their desires. Krishna gives all of us independence. Whatever we want, he will put us into that situation. All right, let's have somebody else read the next paragraph. Sampati Prabhu. Is he here? Sampati what's that? Ramabhadra?
Surapati Maharaj.
Oh, Surapati, sorry, Surapati.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes, please.
There are swine, dogs, camels, asses, etc., whose economic necessities are just as important to them as ours are to us. But the economic problems of the animals are solved only under nasty and unpleasant conditions. The human being is given all facilities for a comfortable life by the laws of nature because the human form of life is more important and valuable than animal life. Why is man given a better life than that of the swine and other animals? Why is a highly placed government servant given better facilities than those of an ordinary clerk? The answer is that a highly placed officer has to discharge duties of a higher nature. Similarly, the duties human beings have to perform are higher than those of animals, who are always engaged in simply feeding their hungry stomach. Yet, the modern soul-killing civilization has only increased the problem of the hungry stomach. When we approach a polished animal in the form of a modern civilized man and ask him to take interest in self-realization, he will say that he simply wants to work to satisfy his stomach and that there is no need of self-realization for a hungry man. The law of nature are so cruel, however, that despite his denunciation of the need for self-realization and his eagerness to work hard to fill his stomach, he is always threatened by the unemployment. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes. So how true this is, even today, we know there's always the threat of unemployment. You know, so many people have lost their jobs due to this pandemic situation, because a lot of businesses have been affected. Tourism has stopped, travel has stopped so much, so many people are unemployed. It's become even more a threat today than ever before. So this is the laws of nature. Though people are willing to work hard, but they can't find a job. So this is a problem in the modern civilization. We ask people, come and work for Krishna, take an interest in self-realization. But they prefer just to work, to fill the belly. And we say, well, you come and work for us, we'll feed you. But no, they don't want that. They want to be independent of Krishna. So the duty of human life is special. The animals, they also have their needs. Early in the morning, you can hear the birds, and all the different creatures, they're all asking, where is the food? And they're busy looking for their food. They fly around and run around. Even the insects come crawling, looking, where is their food? And somehow or other, they find something. So human beings, we're given facilities. We've got better facilities. We've got our apartments, and we've got cars, and we've got schools for the children, and hospitals when we get sick. And there's transportation systems. Some places you have, some cities you have the underground train, and we have communication with different telephones and so on. So this is all part facilities given for the human life. So Srila Prabhupada argues, just like a man in the government, he gets better facility. Why does he get better facility? Surapati? Why has a government officer got better facilities than
because
others?
he have to, sir, Prabhuji, Maharaj, he have to discharge more responsible duties.
Yeah, right. He's got the what responsibility has he got?
He has to discharge highest duties.
Yeah, well, right. What are these duties in the company or in the government office?
He have to manage the lower clerks, all these other people, and he have to bring.
Yeah, he has to make sure no inefficiency.
Yes, sir. Yes, Prabhuji.
He has to make sure no corruption. Everything should be done properly. Just like if the man is working in the factory, then he has to make sure the industry is productive and can make a profit. This is all part of the responsibility of the managers, and they're given more reward because of their greater responsibility. So in the same way, as human beings, we're given also greater facilities, but we have very important duties to fulfill. We're not meant for just to only fill the belly, that we have a purpose in life. As somebody said this morning, as we heard this morning, we have to take care of the other living entities. We're given dominion over other forms of life. Not that we're meant to just kill them and eat them. We're meant to protect them. And we're also meant to fulfill our own duty in researching and understanding the absolute truth. So self-realization is very important. This is part of human life, to know who I am, why I'm here, and what will happen to me at the time of death. Okay, we'll go ahead. Who's next here? We have next we will hear from Janardhan, is it?
Chidanand Prabhu, Chidanand Janardhan.
Chidanand Janardhan, yes, right. Chidanand Janardhan.
We are given this human form of life not to work hard like. We are given this human form of life not to work hard like asses, swine, and dogs, but to attain the highest perfection of life. If we do not care for self-realization, the laws of nature force us to work very hard, even though we may not want to do so. Human beings in this age have been forced to work hard like the asses and bullocks that pull carts. Some of the regions where the asuras are sent to work are revealed in this mantra of Sri Isopanisad. If a man fails to discharge his duties as a human being, he is forced to transmigrate to the Asurya planets and take birth in degraded species of life to work hard in ignorance and darkness.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. So, Srila Prabhupada is describing what happens when we don't take advantage of the human form of life. The people are forced to work hard, to work like animals, to pull heavy loads. Sometimes we see in the streets how people have to pull the heavy load, work hard like asses or bulls. So human life is not really meant for that. Of course, we're not meant to be lazy, but we're not also meant to work like asses and bulls. We're meant to make proper use of our life. So the result of people developing the demonic or the asuric qualities is that they go into the lower regions. And in these lower regions, then they have to take birth in these degraded species of life and work hard in ignorance. So we have to recognize what is our duty as a human being, human life, the responsibility. And if we don't take it, then we don't need the human life. Then we're given some other form of life. We're put into some other species of life. We don't like to be a human being. Some people, Srila Prabhupada was in America and he was talking about how the dog life, it's not a pleasant life, it's very miserable life in the body of a dog. But one young American man was arguing, he said, I don't think it's so bad. I think dogs are all right. They do all right. They just run around and play with each other. You know, they have a good time. So Prabhupada said to him, he said, then I give you my blessing. If you like to be a dog, then become a dog. You know, sometimes people are very ignorant. They don't see the misery which is there in these lower forms of life. But there is a lot of misery in the other. Misery is there in all forms of life. But the human form of life is special because we have the opportunity to solve the misery, to get out of this situation. It's very difficult for the animals to get out of their condition. Right? So next person, who is it? Jai. Jai Tirthamai. Jai Tirthamai Mad.
Jyotirmay Maharaj.
Oh, Jyotirmai. Jyotirmai. Right. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Jyotirmai Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Please read for us in the Bhagavad Gita.
In the Bhagavad Gita 6:41 and 43, it is stated that a man who enter upon the path of self-realization but does not complete the process despite having sincerely tried to realize his relationship with God is given a chance to appear in a family of Suji or Srimad. The word Suji indicates a spiritually advanced Brahmana, and the Srimad indicates a Vaishya, a member of the mercantile community. So the person who fails to achieve self-community. So the person who fails to achieve self-realization is given a better chance in his next life due to his sincere efforts in this life. If even a fallen candidate is given a chance to take birth in a respectable and a noble family, one can hardly imagine the status of one who has achieved success by simply attempting to realize God. One is guaranteed birth in a wealthy or aristocratic family, but those who do not even make an attempt, who want to be converted by illusion, who are too materialistic and too attempt to material enjoyment, must enter into the darkest region of hell, as confirmed throughout the Vedic literature. Such materialistic asuras sometimes make a show of religion, but their ultimate aim is material prosperity. The Bhagavad Gita 17 to 18 rebukes such men by calling them Atma Sambhavita, meaning that they are considered great only on the strength of the deception and empowered by the words of the ignorant and by their own material wealth. Such asuras, devoid of self-realization of knowledge, self-realization and knowledge of Ishavasya. The Lord's universal proprietorship are certain to enter into the darkest regions. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So Srila Prabhupada is referring to Bhagavad Gita chapter 6 there, after Arjuna had asked the question about what happens if I take up this process and I'm not successful. So the Arjuna's question is very relevant because all of us will wonder like that. You know, we make sacrifices to study this knowledge. We make sacrifices to chant Hare Krishna. We give a lot of time for these activities. So what happens if we're not successful? Arjuna wanted to know, because there's no telling that we'll be able to be perfect so that we can go back to Godhead. So what will happen? So Lord Krishna explained. Who knows? Anybody remember from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6? Lord Krishna explained two situations. One is practice for a short time, and one practice for a long time. Right? What happens? Somebody practiced for a short time, but not successful. Now, why would he not be successful? Would any of you like to say? Somebody practiced yoga, but he wasn't really successful. What could be the problem?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, because the Maya is so strong, sometimes temporarily devotees fall down.
Okay, so can you tell us more specifically what kind of thing could happen to somebody? What kind of things Maya could arrange to cause them to fall down?
Like, and they get opulences or the association of
I'm sorry, Maraji, I couldn't hear. I think you answered twice, but I couldn't hear either of them. What was the first thing you said? Yes?
Marriage, because of opulences, they get material opulences, sometimes they fall into the trap, or a bad association with the materialistic person.
Because of material opulence.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Wait, I'm not finished. I'm not finished yet. I'm still talking to Maraji. I'll just talk to Maraji a bit more. So Maraji, you said material opulence would be the cause of fall down?
Yes, Maharaj. One of the cause, Maharaj, and the other association with the non-devotees.
Well, I don't know if that's really correct to say that material opulence could be the cause of fall down. But there's what is the danger with material opulence?
When, for example, when he gets some money, a lot of money, so obviously he thinks of a luxurious life, and there is a chance to fall down. So they get in the trap of the materialistic association and they fall down.
Yeah. What does Krishna, do you know the verse in the Bhagavad Gita? What does Krishna say?
Marriage, which one, marriage?
There's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, Bhogaishwarya Prasaktanam. Can you tell me the translation? The translation reads that in the minds of those who are attached to material opulence and who are bewildered by such things, then the resolute determination for devotional service does not take place. So, so it's not that opulence is the cause of the fall down, But the problem is, what? What's the problem?
Attachment.
Attached to the sense objects.
Yes, attachment. The mind becomes attached to it. We become bewildered by it. And the result is, what happens? We forget Krishna.
Yes, ma'am.
We become proud of our. So that's one cause of fall down. There are other causes, right? Prabhupada gives the example about Bharat Maharaj. What happened to him?
He actually went to the forest for doing the austerities, but then for meditation on the Lord. But then he got an association with the deer baby, and taking care of the deer, he forgot the purpose of his meditation and the Lord, about the Lord. And he, by leaving the body, he was thinking about the deer. So in the next birth, he got the body of the deer.
Right. Yeah. So how does that apply to us? You know, I mean, we're not going to go like Bharat Maharaj. We're not going to, it's unlikely that we'll go to the Himalayas. You know, he went all the way up to Gunduki, where the Shaligram Shilas are there in the Himalayas. Have any of you been up there? Have you been up to Gunduki there, the Gunduki River? And that's where the Shaligram Shilas are found. Anyway, he was up there meditating, doing his yoga, but he got attached to a deer. So we could also get attached to, you know, we get attached to a dog or a cat. We become attached to these things. And even, you know, maybe we don't have a dog or a cat, but we have a car. We get very attached to cars. And we get attached to our home. Just like the birds, they build their nest. We have our home. We become very attached. So we think of these things at the time of dying. We think of our family members. We think of the children. You have grandchildren, you think of them even more. So this is why we fall down. This is what we don't remember Krishna. We forget about chanting. We forget about worshipping Krishna, like Jad Bharat. He forgot everything. He forgot. He was doing it, but he was thinking more about the deer. Anyway, because he'd practiced for some time and he was already advanced, but somehow he fell down. So Bhagavad Gita describes somebody practices for a short time. So what will happen to them?
They'll go to higher planets, Maharaj, for material comforts.
Okay, we'll go to higher planets. Why?
Because they fall down to enjoy material enjoyment. So they will get the higher material enjoyment in the higher planets. The Lord gives them.
Yeah, the Lord gives them. They want material enjoyment, so it puts them in the heavenly planets, and they can enjoy there, right? And then what happens? They just stay in heaven, enjoying there?
No, Maharaj, after they finish their credit, maybe they again come back to the earthly planet. And take
Yes. And where do they take birth?
Socratic.
They take birth as a human being.
Yes. What kind of family?
Aristocratic family.
Yes, right. Why? Why do they take birth in an aristocratic?
Lord actually giving them again a chance for them to serve, like they can utilize their the richness in the service of the Lord. Riches.
Yes, from the beginning of the life, they'll have the chance, they'll have the opportunity to get good education and to learn about self-realization. They'll be put into a situation where there's no real material problems and they can focus on self-realization. Okay? So they practice for a short time, but because of some attachment, some worldliness, some material desires, they were not successful. But somebody else, he practiced for a long time, like Jad Bharat Maharaj. He practiced a long time, but still not perfect. So what happened to him?
They
What-
again born in a Vaishnava family, devotee's house.
Right, to take birth in a family of devotees. So that from the beginning of the birth, they have the opportunity to hear the glories of the Lord and to taste prasadam, to see the deities, all of these things. So makes it very easy for one to become God conscious when you're born into that kind of family, good family. We have many devotees, a lot of devotees, and coming from non-Hindu families, like in Russia and China and so on. So for them, sometimes very difficult, even though the ladies may like to practice, it's very difficult because their family members are not supportive. The family members will oppose. The family members they don't want this, they don't encourage it, and they certainly don't support it. So it's very difficult to be born into that situation. Of course, we could say, well, that's karma. Just like Prahlad Maharaj, it was difficult for him also. Prahlad Maharaj was born in a family of demons, but still he could be Krishna conscious. But of course, at the risk of his own life, his father tried to kill him in so many ways. So these things happen. Even today, to be a devotee in a non-devotee family is very difficult. So, Suchi Nam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Brashta Vijayate, right? That they're born in a good family and then they have the opportunity to perfect their life again. So we see that devotional service, whatever advancement we make, is never lost. And we're given the opportunity to continue in the future. Even somebody takes a little prasadam, it qualifies them for more service in the future. And if one makes an attempt to become God realized, then you're sure to get a good birth. But if somebody doesn't even make an attempt, if he's so materialistic, so much attached, then they're put into the darkest region of hell. So then Prabhupada refers to the demonic nature. He uses this word, Atma Sambhavita. Atma Sambhavita. They're satisfied in themselves. They're very proud and confident of themselves. Although they're very foolish, although they're very ignorant, they think they know everything. They think they're very great and they know everything. And they're not afraid of anybody. They're not afraid of death. They don't care about God. So like that. So this is the demonic nature. So these people are asuras. And they don't have any appreciation for the Ishyavasya society. They don't recognize the Lord as the proprietor. They want to be the enjoyer. So This is the situation. We'll just finish the purport here, a little more. Yeah, so who'd like to read? Maybe some Manaji can read for us.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
The conclusion is that as human beings, we are meant not simply for solving economic problems on a tottering platform, but for solving all the problems of the material life into which we have been placed by the laws of nature.
Okay, so we're meant for solving the problem of material life. How are we going to solve this problem? What's the solution? How are we going to overcome the laws of nature? We've been placed by the laws of nature into material life. How can we solve the problem?
Maharaj, maybe like now, as a devotee, we know what are the material problems. So maybe we can, by chanting or surrendering ourselves to the Krishna, we can solve this.
Yes.
It's my thinking. We can do that.
Yes. And in relation to this section of the Isopanisad, what is the recommendation?
No idea, Maharaj.
Now, the first three verses, they're all talking about what? We heard the first verse, the second verse, yes. They were proposing the Ishyavasya.
Ishyavasya, yes,
right?
Yes,
and then
yes.
the third verse is describing those who don't follow Ishyavasya, right?
Yeah.
So how can you improve your Ishyavasya, your application of the Ishyavasya principle in your life?
Maybe accepting spiritual masters.
Yes,
following by following his instructions.
Okay, yeah, that's nice. But you know, you're putting it all onto the spiritual master, right? We have to
No.
we have to be a little thoughtful ourselves, you know, and use our own initiative. How are you going to apply this Ishyavasya principle and give pleasure? How will you give pleasure to your spiritual master? You know, you can't just turn to your spiritual master every moment. That, oh, Gurudev, tell me, you know, you have to think for yourself. How are you going to apply this Ishyavasya principle?
Like Maharaj, if I am accepting a guru, so that whatever instructions he has given us, we have to follow that, and we have to help, like, you know, we can spread Prabhupada's books, and whatever he has taught us, whatever we have learned from Prabhupada's books, we can do that.
Can you tell me some things then? What is the instruction of your spiritual master? What have you learned from Prabhupada's books? What are you supposed to do which show the Ishyavasya principle as distinct from people who are not following the Ishyavasya principle?
It's like Maharaj, as much as I know, like in a simple way, like I have understood by Prabhupada's book that we are not this body, we are the soul, and we are the part and parcel of Krishna, and Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. So by pleasing the devotees, we are pleasing Krishna, and we are pleasing Guru, and we are pleasing Krishna also.
So how are you going to please the devotees? How are you going to please Guru and Krishna? What are you going to do?
By chanting the holy, by chanting.
Yes. Chanting and hearing.
By chanting and doing
hearing.
Yeah.
deity worship and everything, and.
But you can't do that all day, right? You've got other things to also do.
Yes.
I would like to know how you apply everything in your, you know, in the Ishyavasya principle. How did Prabhupada apply it? Do you know? Have you any idea? Any examples about how Prabhupada was very much conscious?
Srila Prabhupada has actually, he has wrote many books, and he was not attached to the material, what we say, material things. He was not attached to material things. He was completely serving the devotees and the Lord by writing books, different types of books, now which is available for us.
All right. So how about us? How could we apply? How could we follow Prabhupada's example?
We can also get detached with material things and try to get attached more and more to Krishna to get his mercy, love.
Can you tell me how you're going to get detached from material things? What you got to do? What are you going to do?
According to me, I'll accept Krishna as the controller, ultimate controller. So I will do sincere chanting and sincerely reading books, listening to the classes of all the Maharajas and the Brahmacharis and all, and apply in my life. And I give it to some, and I will spread that to the other devotees who are in need.
But what about those other people who are not devotees? Do you care about them?
Yes, Maharaj. I will go, if I have some friends who are not a devotee, I will try them to give this Krishna consciousness and Krishna's love by, at least first I will feed them with some prasad, and then I will try them to come for some classes. I may organize some small, class, and then bring them slowly and steadily into Krishna consciousness. I will give them this knowledge which I will get from everyone.
Okay, now we're hearing something. Okay, you'll give them prasadam, right? This is actually, what is the duty? We're talking about prescribed duty, right? The prescribed duty. So, what is your ashram?
Pardon, Maharaj, I can't hear.
Which ashram do you belong to? Are you brahmacharini or grihastha or vanaprastha?
Grihastha, Maharaj. I am grihastha.
Okay, so you're a grihastha. So what is your duty as a grihastha?
As a grihastha, first I have to practice. First I have to practice in my house properly Krishna consciousness. Give that to my children so that when they grow, they can give it to others, to their friends, whomever they meet, whether a devotee or a non-devotee, and help my Prabhu in all his spiritual things which he do at home and outside also. Support him for his spiritual life. Then when I can personally practice, I can preach also to all the other non-devotees or devotees who are my friends.
Oh, so you're not going to preach until you can practice first perfectly yourself.
Yes, and then I will apply it, Maharaj. First I'll apply it to myself, then I can give the class, like I can preach others.
You might be a long time before you do any preaching. Right?
One more thinking is that we can solve the material problems by going back to Godhead, Krishna also. If we do please Guru and Krishna.
So anyway, Srila Prabhupada explains that according to Vedic culture, one of the duties of the grihastha is that when they prepare food, they should open the door and they should go outside and call out, food is now ready in my home. If anybody is hungry, you can come and eat. Please come, take food. And Srila Prabhupada explains is that the duty of grihastha is to make sure nobody goes hungry. Even he said, even if there's a lizard, they'll feed it.
Right, yes, Mother.
And he gives the example about his own father. His father had a cloth shop. He was selling cloth. So he was keeping cloth. So what did he do? Do you know?
No, Maharaj.
Well, he would put a bowl of rice out every night. He would put a bowl of rice every night. Who did he put it out? Who's that for?
Rat and mouse.
For the
rat and mouse.
Yes, for the rats, right? Calcutta. Prabhupada's living in Bara Bazaar there. He got a lot of rats there. So every night he'd put that bowl of rice and the rats would come, they'd eat the rice, they wouldn't eat the cloth. You know, like that. This one, it's a simple example. And he said also, he said in his home, he said every day there'd be 4 or 5 guests every day. And he said his father was not a rich man, but it was just how his father behaved, that they lived like that. You know, they followed the Vedic culture. And he would always have people come to his home to take food. This is something of the duty, prescribed duty of the Grihastha, to have guests, you know, not that, you know, Grihastha sometimes, oh, I don't want anybody coming, don't bring anybody to our, you know, sometimes they want to be very private like that. But actually the duty of householder life is to have guests come and to feed them and like that, to invite guests. So this is prescribed duties. This is Ishabashamud, the Ishabashamud. They have something, you know, it's not just for my enjoyment, but we recognize Krishna as a proprietor. Another example, Prabhupada was very conscious about not wasting things. He didn't like to see anything wasted. Even one morning we were walking with Prabhupada and we walked past the house and the tap was running and there was nobody there, but the water was running. Prabhupada sent a devotee, he said, go and turn that water off. He didn't like to see the water running and just being wasted. So he was very conscious, this is Krishna's energy. We have to take care of it. And even Prabhupada was so frugal that when people would write to him, you know, in the days when we had snail mail, you know, snail mail, you know, takes a long time to come. So everything is sent, everything would be sent in an envelope. Prabhupada would open the envelope and he would unfold the envelope and he would write on the envelope. He'd make his notes on the envelope. He wouldn't waste even a tiny scrap of paper. He was so conscious. This is Krishna. And I remember here in Mayapur, how in Mayapur, if somebody went out of the room and left the lights on and the fans running, then Prabhupada would get upset. He said, nobody's in the room. He's leaving the lights on and the fans are running. He said, why is he wasting Krishna's, why is he wasting Krishna's energy like this? So like that, Prabhupada had that kind of consciousness, you know, to be very careful about everything, not to waste things and not to unnecessarily take more than what we need, right? That's discussed in the Nectar of Instruction. That is atyahara, not only eating more than necessary, but collecting more than necessary. Of course, we have to have certain needs, you know, like a woman. Women need more clothing than a man. You know, the average woman, we will ask maybe a Mataji can tell us, how many saris do you have? Or maybe not saris, but you know, Punjabi suits or whatever you're wearing, gopi dresses. You know, the average woman, Prabhupada said, will not be happy unless she has at least, how many? Maybe 30 saris? Maybe 30?
More than 50, Maharaj.
More than 50. Oh my goodness. Oh, so opulent. Just see. But for a man, of course, a man, it won't be quite, you know, the man will have, you know, a few pairs of trousers, you know, doesn't have much, most men. So like that, you know, we want to be a little conscious, you know, not over collecting. I had the experience. I went in someone's house one time there in the Middle East, and I went in. My goodness, I thought I was in a shoe shop. There were so many shoes, you know, and there were all shoes. One lady, you know, all one lady's shoes. There were so many shoes, different colors, different styles. So like that, you know, this is Achihara, over collecting. You know, of course, women they have need, they have to have certain needs. Maybe it may be justified. But Ishavasya, we want to be a little conscious that God's in the center and recognize everything belongs to Him, and try to be economical in our use. And certainly with food, we don't waste it. Do you remember what happened when Prabhupada was a child? If some grains of rice would fall down, Prabhupada's mother would have him pick it up. Don't just let the rice fall down. So very conscious like that. You know, this is Ishavasya mood. We don't waste anything. Anybody like to offer some thoughts on this? Do you have any suggestions yourself how you can utilize this Ishavasya principle?
Hare Krishna
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
I just want to share that the center should be Krishna. When we change the center from Krishna to when I change myself, then the Ishavasya goes down. If we change center from myself to Krishna, then the Ishavasya increases.
Okay, yeah, good point. In other words, we don't want to just be miserly. You don't want to just be miserly, but we want to understand that we're being economical for Krishna, recognizing Krishna. The Krishna consciousness has to be there. It's not just being miserly or frugal, but it has to be in Krishna consciousness. Okay, it's a valid point. Yes.
Example is this internet, Maharaj. Earlier we used to not log into more internets and more Zooms and all that. But after pandemic, actually, even this Zoom has become a platform where we had connected with Krishna and listening more of the classes, listening more of online lectures and all those, Maharaj. So connected with Ishavasya.
All right. So yes, there's no harm in using technology. Prabhupada was not against us using technology in the service of Krishna. So as with the pandemic, we've become more dependent on technology, and it certainly helped us a lot during this pandemic crisis, that we can increase our hearing and chanting. We have the opportunity for more association. But with everything else, there's also dangers. You know, we see with the internet that, and with the, what they call it, G4, G5, and like that, now people can use their mobile phones. They don't need televisions, and they can get everything on their mobile phone. They don't need the computer even hardly. But what are they doing with their mobile phones? You know, what are they? Not everybody is in Krishna consciousness. There's a lot of evils also being propagated on the internet, on the cyberspace. So it's not that technology is wrong, but it's how we use it. People have to be properly educated and properly guided to understand these things. If they use the internet just simply to pursue their sense gratification, watching Bollywood movies, and going even more bizarre into the realm of pornography and such things, then it's very dangerous for society. And certainly these evils are very much there. So we do have to educate people.
Yes, ma'am.
Trying to awaken people to the danger. The danger is that you have the human life, you don't use it properly, you go into these darkest regions of ignorance, full of darkness and ignorance, right? You enter into the lowest regions in the universe and can remain there. So people who are a little thoughtful, they will appreciate. Unfortunately, not everybody is thoughtful, but we try. It's our duty to try to awaken people, to get them to understand. So this is the message here in the first 3 verses, the importance of Ishavasya, recognizing Krishna as the proprietor, being very careful how we utilize everything. You know, Prabhupada saw a lot of things in the modern society were really not so necessary. For example, one devotee had an electric razor for shaving his face. Prabhupada said, this is not necessary. He said, you don't need this. And then also washing machines. Washing machines, you know, Prabhupada saw how they you know, back and forward, back and forward, back and forward, wish wash. They don't really wash things. They just simply soak them in water and mix them around a little bit. Prabhupada thought these kind of things also just not necessary, not proper. So we should concentrate on things which are essential, you see. People have washing machines. They don't like to use their own energy for washing clothes. What happens? They end up going to yoga classes to get some exercise. If they would do their own laundry, they'd get good exercise, squatting down and scrubbing the clothes and so on. It's a good exercise. But to get exercise, people go to the yoga class and pay money. And they have the washing machine, put their clothes in the washing machine. So this kind of problem, this is a problem. A lot of laziness in the world. And the comforts, the so-called luxury items are all there to make us more lazy. What we actually need is to be more energetic and to work more. Take care of the land. We have gardens. We don't grow anything. We can grow flowers. We can grow vegetables. You can grow so many things. But people just like to go to the supermarket and purchase everything. So Ishyavasya spirit is there, making proper use of the resources which are given to us by the grace of God. Can anybody give some suggestion how they can incorporate some Ishyavasya principle in their home or in their situation in life?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So the Isavasya principle along with the karma principle which has been mentioned there, we do our job with contentment, satisfaction, and enjoy whatever has been allotted to us with contentment, then we will be able to reach the full life of 100 years with happiness, and also we will reach our ultimate goal.
Okay, you do your job, but then the fruit of the work, what do you do with the fruit of the work?
The fruit of the work has to be offered to Krishna. And over the period of time, we have to do it with Niskama Karma Yoga, we must be able to practice.
Okay, so what percentage of your fruit of the work do you offer to Krishna?
Full. Everything belongs to Krishna. Isavasya principle says everything, he is the owner. Proprietorship is something we are working for.
100% you give to Krishna.
Yes. We are offering one, like it is not that we are offering our portion of the earnings or something like that. What our work itself is an offering to Him. Whatever work itself is an offering to Him. We are doing with a sense of offering, and without expecting any fruits on that.
Well, okay. When you study Nectar of Instruction, Srila Prabhupada writes there how it's the duty.
Percentage he has mentioned, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, percentage of income, sharing the percentage of income with for devotional, for family, for charity, and other things he has mentioned it. Of course, that is a mundane point of view.
So how much percentage are you going to give for charity?
Charity I can give with the present income, I can give about 25 to 30%.
25%. Okay, Rupa Goswami recommends 50%.
50%.
Yeah, that's mentioned 50% should be given for the service of the Krishna conscious movement, or for the service of the Vaishnavas and the Brahmanas, right? 25% for the family, 25% for emergency purposes, and 50% given in charity for the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas, or for the Krishna consciousness movement. Now, I know that's, of course, that's difficult for people. That's a lot to give 50. But that's what it says. That's what, of course, Rupa Goswami, he did that when he retired. So maybe at the time of retirement, you can do that when you retire. But as you go on working, you can also think like that. This is, of course, that's the Ishavasya principle. Prabhupada didn't enforce that, but he recommended that. Mentioned there, that was the example Rupa Goswami had said. Very powerful example. Of course, very difficult for people today because you have so many other things. And of course, your whole family are devotees. You're also maintaining them. You have to look after them. You can't neglect them. You have to look after them. But yes, it's Ishavasya. It's all Krishna's. We have to recognize Krishna's proprietorship. And our prescribed duty is working, offering the results to Krishna. Any other questions, any other comments, any other suggestions how you can become more in the mode of Ishavasya? What are you going to do?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Maharaj, to stay on Isavasya, best thing is to stay with the Sadhu Sangha. Like most of the falls which happen with very high level devotees, like even Parikshit Maharaj can be illusioned, as he was alone and he almost had a fall down and he got a curse. But as he was again got back into the good Sadhu Sangha, he could recover. Same thing with Tajamil. Like he had a fall because he was a very high level Brahmina, knowledgeable Brahmina. But when he was alone and he was not Sadhu Sangha and he see the odd situation and he had a fall down and he lived in that life for almost another 50-60 years. But then he had association, Sadhu Sangha, and he got his son named Narayana, and which helped him recover in overall process. So we have to keep Sadhu Sangha all the time. And of course, we should follow other principles of devotional service.
Yes, you're right. We have to keep the association very important. With the help of association, then it will help to keep us in Krishna consciousness. So that's a very good point. Thank you very much. Keeping the association of devotees will help us to be in the Ishavasya mood. Devotees will help us, right? They'll push us. Okay, so we will stop here. And I'll meet you again this afternoon after some hours. Okay?
Hare Krishna
Thank
Maharaj.
you, Maharaj. Thank you, Maharaj. His Holiness Bhakti Vikram National Scriptures Maharaj ki.
Prabhupada ki.
Afternoon, which chapter will yeah, go through?
Fourth shloka.
Mantra 4. Yeah.
So it will be Bahrain time 4:30, right, Prabhu?
4 o'clock, Prabhuji.
4 o'clock. Sorry, 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. 4 to 5:30, Prabhuji.
And mantra 4.
Mantra 4, Prabhuji. We have covered mantra 3 now, so we will be going to mantra 4.
Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila
Hare
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So we'll end the meeting here. So Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyo Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we will meet at 4 o'clock.
Before you leave, I request forgiveness from my side. I pushed you all to come in time. I sent the sentences that if you don't come by 10:10, it will be difficult to get you admitted. So all that I made only to make you conscious. And besides, backside, I said all the Balram Kinkar Prabhu and the co-hosts, everybody, I told them, admit them as and when they come. My intention was, when Maharaj comes over here, we should not be doing an offense like Vaishnava Aparada. Maharaj will be waiting for us. If he thinks that, oh, they are not interested in me, if they wanted to see Guru Maharaj, then why should they have to class? So there could be a possibility that to avoid such a situation, I forced you. And with that, of course, if so, initially, even if like Tribanga Gopal Prabhu or our Shubhamai Rajesh Prabhu, if they have missed any initial classes, please let me know. I will be able to give the links for the total class also. Okay. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
And next class onwards, I mean, why I'm saying this, that I'm like coconut. I'll be harsh from outside, but from inside, I will be making all the arrangements for your benefit. Why I'm saying now, because next time class, you should not be taking an undue advantage. And I'm sure by next class, our Bhakti Shastri is over. So now, even if I tell you the secrets, it doesn't matter.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Very well, Prabhu. Very well.